this is Deasia Fulmore, and you are watching an interview with All Day Entertainment.
What's going on, Deasia?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I want to thank you for being on the interview. It's an honor and a pleasure of having you here. For the viewers who don't know, just give them a brief description of who you are.
I am Deasia Fulmore. I am 26 years old from Pollocksville, North Carolina, and I am a filmmaker.
Okay. So now your most recent work has been buzzing on social media. That's how I also found out about it. So you got a film that's called The Crossover. Tell the people like the feedback that you got, and was it love, negativity, or anything like that? Just tell them the response that you feel on the feedback.
I would say it was definitely love. More love than anything else. I'm sure there's some negativity out there, but I don't focus on it personally. From what I received, I think it really shocked a lot of people. One, because it was a small budget production, low budget production, but it came out looking super professional.
Right.
And so the feedback I've been getting is we want to see episode 2. So everybody's excited.
Right. And now I know you wrote a book in high school. It's like an autobiography called Here I Am.
Yes.
So was that the moment that you knew you wanted to be a director or a writer?
No. I actually thought that I would continue to write books, but I went to college at UNC Wilmington, and while I was there, I actually would go be an extra on set for other films. I think, matter of fact, the movie Frat Brothers with Romeo Miller.
Oh yeah.
You can actually see me in that film.
Oh. Wow.
And Stephen King's Under the Dome. That was another film that I got a chance to really work on. So I would always be like an extra on set. And so I guess maybe it was very inspiring, but through working on set, I just noticed how tiresome it really is.
Right.
So that wasn't really something I would think I would ever do until one day I was in the house and I had this idea that just came to me. And I was like, ooh, this would be a great story. And I was just like, how can I tell stories without writing books? I don't think I want to write a book anymore.
Right.
And then just this voice just spoke to me and was like, film it. And I was just like, okay. So.
And everybody hear that voice sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta listen to it and follow the path.
Listen, I am super spiritual, and I know when God is impressing something upon me to do. And once I hear that voice, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, so I know, like me, like I play sports and stuff. And being that I play sports, I was always someone that I will follow and like look up to and study their craft. So I want to know, is there any directors or writers that you look up to and that you follow and study?
Tyler Perry.
Okay.
Tyler Perry, I follow him, so I've always been a fan of him with the plays, right?
Right.
But I really like Tyler as a person. So I watch a lot of his interviews. With Tyler, I just feel like Tyler has a spiritual element into what he writes that I don't get from other directors. And I know there are a lot of great films out there that I watch and I like, but Tyler always impacts me a little differently because I think he has found a way to balance his spirituality in his craft, and that's what really speaks to me with Tyler.
Right. And now you wrote the script 15 times, so that's a lot of times. I know you was trying to perfect it, but did that discourage you any, or was it more so of a thing just trying to just perfect it and get it to where I needed to be?
I think going into it, I think I knew that I wouldn't get it right the first time.
Right.
And now by the time I got to number 8, when I got to number 8, I was like, okay, now, y'all kind of getting on my nerves a little bit.
Right.
But I kind of knew going into it that you were going to have to, because really and truly, 15 is actually very small. Because there are some people who
30.
Yeah, constantly
Yeah.
going through the editing process. For me, I think I just wanted to make sure I gave the best work. And so even when people would say, when I would get a response and someone would be like, okay, I think it's good like it is, I would question that.
Right.
You know, anything that comes too easy, I tend to question it. Like, is that how you really feel? What do you really think? And I don't hang with people who are just going to tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to extend myself to people who I know are going to give honest feedback.
Right.
And take it for what it is.
Right. And so what I want to know is why the name, The Crossover? Like, that's for people who haven't seen it, don't want to ruin it for people who may have not seen it, but it definitely do translate and relate to what the film is actually about. But in like your brief description or whatever, why the name The Crossover?
I'll never forget when I got that name. I was in my car, and I think I was on my lunch break, and I was like, okay, what am I going to call this? And there goes that voice again, and it says crossover. And I was like, okay. So I go look up the definition. And, you know, when I think about crossover, naturally, I mean, some people associate it with sports,
right.
Crossover.
Yeah.
But in music, you know, if an artist, when you think in terms of crossover, you think an artist kind of transitioning from being maybe underground or more mainstream, or sometimes going from being R&B to maybe you cross over and you start doing pop records,
right.
which is considered a larger platform. And so I also looked up the definition, and it just simply meant crossing from one place to another. But I also wanted people to see my spirituality as well,
right.
subtly. So the cross itself, like in the film, he actually, I don't want to say too much, but he presents her a
right.
necklace, and it's a cross.
Right.
And so when you look at the film and you see the four characters, it's literally a cross. Like when they're seated at the table,
right.
and the story, we're introduced to four different characters who all have four different perspectives. So that's kind of how crossover came about. The name, like I said, it came from my higher power,
right, right.
again, but the symbolism that I put into the film, I really put a lot of thought into that. There's a scene where when she leaves him a letter,
right,
and she leaves the cross, the necklace that he gave her, and she leaves the ring. And through that, I wanted to convey the message of how, as human beings, when we really going for something that we want or that we think is a better situation, mm-hmm. how we'll forsake our commitment, which was represented through the ring, and our conviction, which was represented through the cross. So I don't know if people caught that, but that's really what I was trying to convey.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was your reason behind the crossover. What was your reason behind the film itself? Like, what inspired that?
Actually, that film is kind of personal. Actually, I went through like a year of betrayal, right, from different people, and I wanted to tell a story that I felt like people could really relate to, and I felt like love and betrayal is something that we all can identify with, and the painful process of healing from betrayal, and just that moment when you first feel it, how it feels to you. Right. And so when you look in the film and you see what she does to Chris, you know, and you think about how that probably felt, him reading that letter, but then you get to that last moment, which I won't say, I want people to go watch. Yeah. But when you get to that last moment and you see her, and you know, so just just everybody kind of living in that moment of what it really feels like to, one, love somebody and be betrayed. And whether it be a parent, a cousin, a teacher, a friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, I think it hurts the same. And I read one of my favorite quotes is, the hardest thing about betrayal is that it never comes from an enemy. Mm-hmm. It always comes from, you know, the people that we love.
Right.
So.
And I also know you received not only one offer but 2 offers, and I do want to.
Yes.
That's a great thing for your first film. I think it's really great that you received not only 1 but 2. But I know you can't get into much details, but what made you kind of say this ain't for me and kind of politely decline those offers? And do you think it's best to stay independent for like right now?
Well, okay, so one offer, that offer is still there. I just don't think that's my move right now, you know. But the big offer from Hollywood, because that was from Hollywood, and I want people to know that was from a Hollywood network.
Wow.
And a lot of people asked, was I surprised? Which I really wasn't surprised, because that's the goal. The goal is for someone big to see it and want it.
Right.
But when we looked at the details, and I had kind of talked to a few lawyers, and I read the contract myself, and then I have mentors and people who I reach out to just for counsel as far as what they would do in a situation. And after we read through it, it just wasn't for me.
Do you think it's important to stay independent?
No.
It's a lot of work, huh?
I say, this is what I say. I say yes until the best opportunity comes.
Right.
But I don't know, I can't really, because when I think about Tyler and his path, at some point you are going to need a partner with a larger company.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At some point, just for distribution, if you want your stuff in theaters and you want, you know, at some point you need to be open to a bigger company coming in and helping you. But one of my closest friends always tells me you can't rush the process, you got to trust the process. And I don't want anything that comes too fast. And when I was going through the negotiations with them, a moment of self-evaluation, I realized that I wasn't really ready either. Gotcha. You know, and I probably could have faked it until I made it. You know, I probably could have faked it. And I know you'll never be 100% ready, but I feel like you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable position going into something blindly, not really knowing as much as you could know. And, you know, give yourself time to grow. And another opportunity is going to come. Right. That next moment, I'll be prepared for it.
I got you, man. I like how you say that, because knowledge is definitely powerful, and you do want to know a lot before, you know, you decide to make that move.
And a lot of people, I mean, if you ask people right now, you said, if I gave you $1 million, what would you do with it? A lot of people would say, oh, I'm gonna get a car, how they'll start naming a bunch of stuff. When that really is presented to me, I just want to be my best self at the time. I want to be able to make a informed decision and really know what's going on, because when you're reading a 30-page contract, it's a lot of loopholes, there's a lot of stuff in there that you don't understand. Engage in a lawyer for that, but at the same time, try to know as much as you can on your own. So stay independent until you're really ready. Right. Yeah.
And now the filming process, it took you 9 months for the first episode?
I literally carried a baby.
Right.
Yeah. It took 9 months.
Now, for your next one coming up, is you plan on the same time frame, or do you think it would be quicker, being that you know a little bit more now?
Yeah, it'll be a little fast. I mean, it had to be, because I'm going to tell you the truth. Once I put out episode 1, I was expecting people to respond, but I don't think I was expecting people to respond like that. Right. And so I'm actually going through editing right now, trying to get my scripts together, and I sometimes I feel like I'm rushing it, but people want episode 2, so I've got to work. You know, there's
people what they want.
Yeah. Listen, once you see Tyler Perry's work ethic, you will realize there are no excuses. So I know when I'm at work, I write on my lunch break. I was just sick. I just got over, and I'll never forget, I was so sick. And just out of the clear blue sky, I got inspired to write. And I remember getting up out of the bed, and I wrote while I felt like I was about to die.
Yeah.
So, no excuses. I'm not making any excuses.
Right. And one thing that I actually like from your film, you actually had a kid that had a role.
Yes.
So to me, it just shows that you pretty much have roles for all ages and not just, particular ones. So
Definitely.
it definitely gives people opportunity for more roles. So I did like that. And talk
Thank
like
you.
how your audition process usually works, just for aspiring actors that probably want to get hired or a job.
Definitely. So I post it on my Facebook, of course, but I also send my casting information to casting networks who can put it out there. So the characters in the film, the lead actress, she actually submitted through a network, which they post my email with it. So she sent in her audition, and as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh, I got to have her.
Yeah.
She was just amazing. And so people can definitely get the information from my social media, but there are going to be other casting networks that are going to put it out as well.
Right. For people who don't know, because I do a little research on it, like, who's all like on set? Like, what's that process like? How many people is on set?
Well, smaller production.
Right.
We had, let's see, we got the lights, got the boom op, my DP, who's actually shooting it, me. We've got production assistants. They're helping with the production piece. Set design, hair, makeup, wardrobe, you'll have that. I didn't have that last time. Like I said, with it being such a small production, I didn't even have hair and makeup. And looking back, as you grow, you just see the holes in your work and where you could have did. Because I looked at certain things on footage and I was just like, oh, we definitely needed hair and makeup. Right. But it's cool. And I think the great thing about this being a series is that the audience really gets to watch me grow as a director,
right,
and a writer.
Gotcha.
Because directing is a big thing, and that's something I'm learning. But for me, to my core, I'm really a writer.
Okay.
And so I want people to really see me evolve over these next few episodes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so episode 2, so I know that's in the works. So I know you can't not to go into too much, but wish just a little bit that we can expect that's different, or?
Well, y'all can expect a little this, a little that. Right. Episode 2 is for us to find out the why.
The why, right.
Right? Because episode 1 brought you in, and you see what she did, you see how it ended. But right. I think now everybody had some questions afterwards, like what would motivate her to do this and all that.
Right.
And that's the great thing about writing. Every character has a why. In life, we all have a why as to how we became who we are.
Right.
And so now I get to really show more about the characters, and you can understand their motivation and just dig more into who they really are. Right. But we're still going to keep it with the element of surprise, because people
right.
love that. So
what advice can you give future filmmakers or actors or writers? What advice can you give them to just if they want to get into the profession that you're in?
Find someone who's doing what you want to do. That's the main thing. I feel like I can't even give so much advice because I'm learning myself, but I've just always been a person, if I didn't have the answer, I would go find it. There's somebody with the answer. So for me, I spend a lot of time, people say that I'm always on social media, and I am.
Right.
But I network a lot on social media.
Right.
So I always try to figure out who's doing what, who knows what. If I see somebody that's working in a profession that I don't understand, I'll contact them and be like, can you tell me, what you actually do? So my advice is, one, lead a life of humility, meaning be a student first. Always be willing to submit yourself to go learn from somebody.
Right.
and go to film school, go to take seminars. YouTube is a great thing. And then after you do all of that, take the first step and actually do something.
Gotcha.
That's the next thing. That's the advice I would give to somebody.
Last thing, I'm not going to ruin it for the next episode or anything, but you actually landed a big actor, like we kind of spoke on earlier. So
Yes.
just how did that kind of go about? Like, how did you land to get that person?
I just contacted him.
Straightforward, huh?
Yeah. I don't beat around the bush. I just go for what I want, and if you respond, you respond. If you don't, I keep it moving. But he did respond, and I told him what I had going on, and he told me to text him. So we started texting and started having conversation, and then, you know, at a certain point, it's like, okay, on his end, it's like, okay, you gonna send me the money or not? Because you gotta book me now. So I was like, you know, I had to show him I was serious. I'm like, I'm serious. He was like, okay. I said, I'm sending the contract and I'm gonna send the money. So we did the contract, we locked it in, and Jamal Woolard, aka Gravy, aka Notorious B.I.G., will be here in December.
Okay. And that is ironic though, that usually people will send you through their manager or something to speak to or email. So I do think that's pretty cool that he just said, you know, text me and then responded back. And
I'm not going to say that I'm so special. I don't know if that's what he does for everybody, but he did do that for me. And so we were just on FaceTime just the other day, just ironing out some of the details and stuff. So it's going to be fun. I think that he's also going to do some meet and greets while he's here. You know, you got to have your COVID mask on. But I'm actually going to bring him to Jones County because we're going to film in Jones County. You know, that's my hometown. So last time we filmed the whole film, we actually filmed it in New Bern. So this time I'm going to go to Trenton, Jones County, and bring him out there for our community. And I think it's really going to be great.
I found it really inspirational that you actually made this film, like being that we come from a small city.
Thank you.
And it really inspired me because it's actually something I wanted to do. And it just shows that it's like once somebody do it, you can kind of follow that roadmap and kind of just follow and go ahead and do it yourself. So it's definitely like inspirational that you did it yourself.
And I think that's what I feel like I want everybody to feel, because I'm the type of person, me personally, I share knowledge, and anybody can tell you. People message me all the time with different things. I got one friend just messaged me saying she wants to run for office, and she said, hey, how do I do this? And I shared knowledge with her on what she may need. But I think I understand that I'm not that special, because I lived in Atlanta for like 3-4 years. There's a million people in Atlanta doing the same thing that I'm doing. So being here, I think it just stands out because it's such a small community. But I feel like this right now should be an indicator to a lot of people that if you ever wanted to do something like this, you can do it. And I encourage people to go do it, and let's all support one another in that. Now, granted, I know there are a lot of people who may contact me, and right now, because I have my project going on, I can't drop my project and go work on somebody else's project. But that doesn't mean I can't share knowledge with you or make sure you get the best director of photography that you might need for your project. Or maybe you need somebody who's really good at editing. If I have the information, I'm going to share that information with you. If you want Jamal Woolard on one of your projects, I'm going to talk to him for you, you know? So I just think it's really important that we all stay humble. We all keep our egos in check. Because at the end of the day, what we should be trying to accomplish is something much bigger than just fame and fortune. You know, we should be trying to send a message, especially coming from such a small area. I know for me, coming from Jones County, for me, it's really about the art, and it's really about sending the message to some of the kids that's coming up, or even some of the adults that maybe they're in their 70s or 60s, 50s or whatever, and maybe they always wanted to do something and never did it. But listen, no excuses.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, anything is possible, and I just want people to be inspired and then motivated to go get it done. And let's build something. I mean, who's to say that we can't become like the next Atlanta? In Atlanta, everybody works together. You know, black people work together. And so I'm all for black, and it's not just a black-white thing. It's just, I'm just saying, you know, for my community specifically, I want to see us work together for a greater cause. So.
And also, like you told me, make sure you write it down.
Yeah, like write it down, everything. I get so many ideas, and as soon as I get an idea, I write it down. And no timing too.
Right.
I'm not gonna go sell hot dogs when people want hamburgers.
Right.
So you might get an idea, and it's important to write it down because it might not be the season for it, but keep it, because when that moment comes, you'll see like, okay, now is my time to go do that.
Right.
So write down all your ideas. Keep positive people around you. Please get rid of negative people.
Right.
You know, I can't say that enough. Please get rid of negative people. Align yourself with people moving in the same direction that you're moving.
Right.
And the sky's the limit. And maybe it's not. Maybe the sky isn't the limit, but yeah.
At least you tried.
Right.
There you have it.
Thank you.
For the people who don't know, just tell them where they can follow you on your social platforms.
I am on Instagram at Deja Fulmore. That's how it's spelled. But I'm mostly on Facebook, YouTube, crossover short film, Deja Fulmore, and yeah, I'm always available.
Deja Fulmore, and this is the interview. All Day Entertainment. We out.